What's up, Romulo Melo BJJ fam? It's your boy Blake, here to talk to you about all the action that went down on Wednesday night at round 1 of the Romulo Melo Invitational. What's up, fam? The evening kicked off with a brief fighters meeting from Gary where he ran down sort of the gist of the evening, what we could expect. Then we got right into it. First up, Calvin Liu and Leland Franklin. Wow, this match did not disappoint. They started us off with a bang. I tell you what, watching these two guys roll was a lot like watching Alex Jones and Eddie Bravo on the Joe Rogan Experience. They don't give a fuck about points, but it's entertaining as hell. There were so many positions exchanged, sweeps, back takes, mounts. Ultimately, Leland won the match with a beautiful armbar, but I really think that the audience were the winners here. This was an awesome show. Thank you, gentlemen. Next up, we had Dan DeFlumery and Anthem Salgado. Another great match. These gentlemen exchanged a little bit of stand-up, and then Dan executed a beautiful lapel drag, landing right into top side control, and pretty much displayed excellent top pressure for the remainder of the match. There were a few exchanges. Anthem got a reversal, and then Dan got another sweep into mount. Dan wasn't able to finish because Anthem is excellent at defense. Dan ultimately won, moving him on to the quarters. Next up, we had the battle of the beauties, Bobby Durbin and Michael Swift. I swear to God, if I didn't train jiu-jitsu with these guys and you told me they were the chain smokers, I would 100% believe you. This match actually surprised me, no offense, gentlemen, but it was so much more technical than I had thought. Both of these guys played really thoughtful, open guards, X guards, single leg X. There were some really creative attacks from Bobby on bottom half guard, and at the very end of the match, Michael had an awesome omoplata setup. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to win. Bobby moved on, taking that match. Next up was my match against Dan Denegre. Now, this match started off kind of normal, a typical half guard sweep for me, and set up a pretty convincing Kimura on Dan, at which point, someone in the crowd, concerned for Dan's safety, yelled out tap. Kyle, who was reffing the match, heard tap and stopped us, looking out for the safety of Dan and myself. However, I happen to know that Dan has joints made out of rubber. I knew I had another at least inch on that Kimura before Dan was ready to tap. So we were in this awkward position where, what do? Ultimately, it was really fun for me to get Kyle in a very uncomfortable position because I'm not able to do it with my jiu-jitsu, and then we returned to our match in top side control. This is when things took a dark turn for me, my friends. Your humble narrator was suddenly put into an Ezekiel choke as I was in top side control. And I have to tell you, that choke was tight. It was tighter than skin on a grape. It was tighter than 10 pounds of feed in a 5-pound bag. It was tighter than Adam Greenberg's shoe collection. It was tighter than the latest show-year-old drop. If you want me to show you the technique that I use to escape, I think your preacher can do it better because it's called prayer and they show it every Sunday. I was a little panicked, let Dan retain guard, took a few steps back, managed to get the submission, and I won the match, moving on. But man, it was close. Next up, we had the heavily anticipated Dan Merlin, Taylor Davis match. Whew. These boys put on a great show. To no one's surprise, Taylor was very athletic, very technical, but who blew me away the most, I believe, was Dan. Now, if the goal of jiu-jitsu is self-defense, then Dan did an excellent job. He was really thoughtful in his escape strategy and always intelligently defending himself, which is far more than I can say about any Trump administration press secretary. Ultimately, he got caught in a nasty but beautiful armbar from Taylor, losing the match, progressing Taylor on to the quarters. Next up, I think we had fight of the night. Philippe and Jordan Wang. Initially, the boys started standing and were not afraid to exchange some judo and some takedown attempts. Ultimately, Jordan pulled, Philippe moved to side control. The match was reset on their feet after the ref felt like Philippe wasn't really trying to progress very much. He probably restarted the match in the middle of a Safeway deli counter because these boys proceeded to go ham. Let's fucking watch that shit again. Damn, that was beautiful. Philippe then decided to go full Jeff Glover and try a flying armbar, which didn't stick, but man, it was entertaining. They ended up in some scrambles, and ultimately Jordan ended up on top. Great pressure, took the points he needed, and won that match. Then we had Seth and Clarence. Clarence, in this match, I believe, earned his new nickname, The Surgeon. Now, that sounds kind of lame. Clarence earned his new nickname of The Seamstress. That's fucking patronizing. Clarence earned his new nickname of The Butcher. The Butcher. As he managed to dismantle a really talented jiu-jitsu player in Seth. Seth's whole game plan was to sort of take advantage of moments of uncertainty, or so it appeared. Quick, sort of off-balancing sweeps, and Clarence had a very clear game plan and executed it step by step by step, landing a very nice takedown, which he clearly had thought about from the beginning of the match, and then very creatively passed Seth's guard, moving him on to the quarters. And that should have been the end of the night. I could already taste the acai on my lips. I was ready to go, but the crowd was thirsty for blood. And who are we to not give them what they want? So I tied my belt around my sweaty pajamas, and we started the quarterfinals. First up was Dan versus Leland. Again, Dan blew me away with just excellent top pressure. Leland is like trying to roll with a tennis ball in the dryer. The two exchanged a few different shifts in position, but ultimately Dan ended up in top mount and executed a beautiful cross-collar choke, moving him on to the semis. Next up was my match against Bobby Durbin. Typically, I rely on my Adonis-like good looks and Herculean strength to muscle my way through a jiu-jitsu match, especially in competition. However, that's not much against Bobby Durbin. I mean, look at him. I had to think about applying some actual jiu-jitsu technique against a skilled and intelligent opponent, which went okay for me. I feel like Bobby should win the James Grappleberry Award for this match because he actually shot the only legitimate takedown I saw all night. I retreated to my typical guard pull and managed to get the best of a series of scrambles, giving me a points lead at the end of the match, moving me on to the semis.
All right, guys, we have some late breaking news. As of Sunday at 1:30, in addition to closing out the 180-pound bracket next Wednesday, we're also going to have some super fights featuring Clarissa versus Lee, potentially a Carson versus Alex Sherman fight, and it is rumored that we're going to have an Osvaldo versus Bobby the Heartbreaker Durbin fight. So come out, support your teammates, have a good time, enjoy the show, and until next time, pay your water tabs, take your sweaty clothes home, and for the love of God and all that is holy, protect your damn necks.